it's been such a buzzword in the running industry for like the last couple of years is zone two. Everyone talks about zone two, and I'm convinced 90% of people don't have a clue what that means, myself included sometimes. So tell us from a coach's standpoint, then, what when you talk about zone two, what are you talking about?
Well, my first thought that comes in my head when I hear zone two is that zone two is meant to be the zone two is meant to be easy work, right? And I think it's lost sometimes because of our heart rate data, number one. Number two, um, I'll be honest, some people's zone two isn't easy. And that's not a criticism. It's just they just haven't had the time to develop their energy systems. Now, going back to it, I'll just give you an example. My my coach who programs for me, who coaches me, never gives me a zone two run. He always gives me an easy paced run. Or sorry, not even the word pace, an easy run. And the reason behind that is because perceived effort and the feeling of easy versus the feeling of moderate versus the feeling of hard is more important and more valid than your heart rate data, which can have a lot of variables in it. And I
Mm.
even say, and look, like I love my Whoop. I love wearing my Garmin chest strap to get heart rate data. But have you ever thought to yourself, how on earth is this thing on my wrist like truly getting my absolute heart rate right now? Like, I'm sure, like, no offense to Whoop and no offense to Garmin and no offense to all the other tech companies out there that do the thing, right? But I'm like, your effort levels and and your perceived effort is far more important than what potentially this is telling you, or what your heart rate obviously is doing. So effort is a lot more important when it comes to easy, easy, easy slash zone two. Now, I don't want to, come across as if I can only use myself as an example, but I think it's more crucial to do so with this. My easy runs are in zone one. My easy runs are in zone one due to the fact that I've ran more days. I said this the other day on an Instagram post. I've ran more days in my life than I haven't. But that's the only reason why my easy is in zone one. That's the only reason. It's not because it is because I'm fit. I'm not trying to say it that way, but I'm just saying because I've been running all my life.
Mm.
My easy is in zone one. Um, if you haven't, and your easy, whatever easy is to you, is in zone two, or sometimes people's easy is still in zone three. That's okay. That's fine. But I challenged the concept here I challenge people to try to understand that zone two is a myth, because what zone two is true, like a zone two run is truly trying to say, in quotation marks, right, is treat it easy and do whatever easy is in your eyes.
So
Um,
it's more a subjective measure in terms of you're saying you're being programmed easy runs. Um, so if one day easy feels something different to the next day, then that's fine because you might be feeling different, you might be fueled
yeah,
different, you might be less fatigued, more fatigued. It just depends on what your feeling of easy is on that specific day.
exactly. And you nailed it there. I'll give you another example. I had a 10K easy on Monday, and I had a 10K easy today. The pace was probably 10 seconds off per kilometer, but they were both easy. So both were, in my eyes, deemed a good run, because they were both easy. Now, I didn't have my heart rate data on for today, so it would have been interesting to understand. But here's another question from this. It's like, or more of a statement, like, what we're trying to do, whether you are an elite athlete, whether you're getting off the couch and going for your first run, what we're trying to do is not linear. And if you think it is, then you will get you won't get found out. You'll understand down the track that fitness, our body, and what we're trying to do with our fitness and training is never linear. And what I mean by that is your pace today being easy doesn't necessarily mean your pace tomorrow is going to be easy. And that's the hardest thing about what we're trying to do. You're trying to listen to your body to understand, okay, if I'm meant to be going easy tomorrow, well, just do whatever tomorrow brings. But it's not linear. And again, going back to the whole experiment word, it's so true, because what we're doing, whether you're an elite athlete or that person coming off the couch, we're just trying to experiment, trying to get the most out of our bodies, right?
Too right. And on that then, JK, talk to us about what you mean when you say the 80-20 rule.
So
when you're in your training.
The 80-20 rule, and to preface, it's roughly 80-20. It's probably never bang on 80% and bang on 20%. But the 80-20 rule is doing 80% of your training at a low intensity, easy pace, and then 20% at a high intensity, anaerobic plus pace, anaerobic VO2 plus pace. I've been doing somewhat similar to 80-20 for the last 5 to 6 weeks with my marathon prep. I personally think when I look at my builds towards my Hyrox races, it's probably more so a 70-30 split, just because of the other movements involved and other components other types of workouts that we do. But I have learned the power of making sure that you understand the intensity that is required throughout a workout, throughout a week, and not just going hard all the time, because I tell you what, that's just going to beat yourself up, and you'll end up not being available to accumulate the volume that you need to do to rise your fitness level.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you're able to do this training load consistently week on week on week, because you know your body better, you know when to go hard, you know when to go easy? Whereas you're right, even people like myself, if I have an quote unquote easy session, sometimes I'm guilty of thinking that it was less worth it than going after it for a full session. So I can only imagine people that are getting into exercise thinking that you have to be on it 100% the whole time.
It's a interesting topic, this one, Pete, because I'll use the example of group training at the moment, and group training for the last 20 odd years, right? I think group training facilities and functional fitness group training facilities have changed the way people train and change people's lives, because it's gotten people to want to train because they're training with their friends and want to train because it's social as well as moving their body. Group training, and I will do an odd session here and there, but if I'm training for my Hyrox races, I will not do group classes due to the fact that most of them are all about trying to full send, trying to go to trying to go as hard as possible, because that's what you do in a group class. It's more about trying to achieve the or trying to get the sweatiest and trying to get the most out of the chosen 40 minutes that you've got, the chosen 45 minutes that you got, or even the chosen 5 minutes to then move on to the next station or what have you. And due to that, it creates a lot of people overtraining. Now, I love group training, right? For the purpose of people moving. That's what's the best about it. But the biggest learning curve that I've had for the last 18 months is diluting the ego and trying to understand when to go easy and then when to go, I'm going to even say moderately hard. I don't do a lot of full gas, balls to the wall workouts. They're either easy or they're in threshold. And the reason behind that is because we're training for a race that is between 50 to 60 minutes, but for the most between 70 to 90 minutes, right? We don't necessarily need to look at and spend so much time in our VO2 full intense energy system, because it's a long race what we're doing. We're trying to build our aerobic capacity, which is our foundation, which is going to make everything that is at a higher intensity a lot easier in the first place.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Abnormal. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing to the channel and give us a 5-star review in whatever podcast platform you are listening or watching on right now, as it goes a long way to help growing the show. Thank you, and see you in the next one.